عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت بقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. فرجت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجان، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت للقتال. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي يكرم مقامك فأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحق وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. فأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام مهدي ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام في جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن واكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد العابدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر اللحد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أولا ثم الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجان وعمر بن سعد وشمران وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. اللهم لك الحمد وحمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رضيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم الصدقين عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا وهجروا دون الحسين عليه السلام. मग़फ़िरत फरमा। परवरदिगार गुनाहों से बचने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा, इताअत और बंदगी करने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा, हम सब की आक़िबत बख़ैर फरमा। परवरदिगार बिहक़्क़ मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद जो मोमिन बीमार हैं उनको सेहत और सलामती अता फरमा। बिलख़ुसूस जो मोमिन यहाँ पे हाज़िर हैं, अगर उनके घर वाले दोस्त अहबाब और खुद मरीज़ हैं, परवरदिगार सबको शिफ़ाए कुल्ली अता फरमा। परवरदिगार जो मोमिन परेशान हाल हैं उनकी परेशानी को दूर फरमा। जो बेऔलाद हैं उनको औलाद नसीब अता फरमा। जो बेरोज़गार हैं उनको रिज़्क़ हलाल नाज़िल फरमा। जिनको रिज़्क़ दिया है उसमें वसअत अता फरमा। परवरदिगार जो मक़रूज़ हैं उनके कर्ज़ों को अदा फरमा। परवरदिगार दुश्मनान इस्लाम को निस्तनाबूद फरमा। जहाँ जहाँ मुसलमान शिया बेकरार हैं उनकी तमाम माल आबरू की हिफ़ाज़त फरमा। उलमा मराज़ का साया हमारे सरों में क़ायम व दायम फरमा। परवरदिगार बिहक़्क़ मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद इक़बाल साहब के जितने भी मरहूमीन हैं उनकी मग़फ़िरत फरमा, उनके वालिदैन की मग़फ़िरत फरमा। परवरदिगार उनके रिज़्क़ में बरकत अता फरमा, उनकी जो भी दिली मुरादें हैं वो पूरा फरमा, उनकी औलाद को नेक और सालेह बना। परवरदिगार बिहक़्क़ मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद जो भी उनकी मुश्किलात और परेशानियाँ हैं वो दूर फरमा। परवरदिगार बिहक़्क़ मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद उनके रिज़्क़ में बरकत अता फरमा। परवरदिगार बिहक़्क़ मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद इमाम ज़माना के ज़ुहूर में ताजील फरमा, हम सबको उनके अंसार में शुमार फरमा। रब्बना तक़ब्बल मिन्ना इन्नका अंतस समीउल अलीम बिहक़्क़ मुहम्मद व आलिहि।
No, you can't. You have to be this one. You can't fight me. You can't fight me.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम अल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या रसूलल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या हबीबल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अबा अब्दिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या रसूलल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम व अला रसूलिका व हबीब व अला उम्मिका व अखीका व खैरिका जमीअ शुहदाए करबला व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलामु अलैका या मौला या गरीबल गुरबा, अस्सलामु अलैका या मुईन अल-दुअफ़ा वल फुक़रा, सुल्तान वल हसन या अली इब्न मूसा या हज़रत वारादी बिल क़द्र वल क़वा व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलामु अलैका या मौला या साहिबल अस्र वज़ ज़मान, अस्सलामु अलैका या खलीफ़तुर रहमान, अस्सलामु अलैका या शरीकल क़ुरआन, अस्सलामु अलैका या इमामल इंस वल जान। अज्जलल्लाहु तआला फ़रजक व सहलल्लाहु तआला मख़रजक व ज़ुहूरक व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले
नाराए तकबीर, अल्लाहु अकबर, नाराए रिसालत, या रसूल अल्लाह, नाराए हैदरी, या वली। तमाम उनके इजाज़त है बैठे यहाँ।
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We had a discussion about a few weeks ago of some religious issues. So the answers will be given today, and reference will be given today from the previous discussion we've had. I think we can all remember. But the only condition today will be there will be no interference. Anybody who wants to ask a question will have to wait till the end. They are allowed to write their questions down and then ask. But during the lecture or the speech, there will be no interference. Because last time it just went out of proportion and it went out of, ethically it went wrong. So I will ask Brother Manzoor to come over and start.
The brothers want to know if the lecture is going to be in Urdu or English or just mixed. Yeah, mixed together.
English, all right?
Salawat for Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد والفرقانه الحميد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت رسالته والله يعصمك من الناس إن الله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. I have this opportunity again to finish off a presentation which was started some weeks ago. Also, in a few days' time, it is Eid al-Ghadir, and I wish all the mu'mineen on this joyous occasion of Eid al-Ghadir, Mubarak. I want to, first of all, before I start this presentation, just make a couple of things clear. You will hear this word, Shahadat al-Thalitha. Shahadat al-Thalitha basically means the third testimony. When we say Shahadat al-Thalitha, it will come up many, many times in the presentation. And if you don't know what Shahadat al-Thalitha is, you will not be able to keep up with the conversation. So whenever I say Shahadat al-Thalitha, it means ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah. So all of you, and boys in particular, I want you to remember this. Whenever the word Shahadat al-Thalitha comes up in the presentation, it means ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah. So the first Shahadat is of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, second of Rasulullah, and the third is of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. There's a few points which I wanted to clarify from last presentation. Because of the way the presentation was designed, I felt that if anybody wants to refute, they can do that and I will come. If anybody wants to contradict anything which I'm presenting, any of the references, if they have a different opinion of the references, if the references are wrong or the context is wrong, then you're quite welcome on another day, because obviously we're not going to have time at the end of this session to finish off all of the things I want to go through. And the other thing I want to make clear is that the sources are so many. I was limited to what I could put into this presentation. I try to limit it as much as I can. All I'm giving you is basically the tip of the iceberg, just the top. There is so, because the discussions in fiqh are so vast. in order to understand every discussion, in order to understand every sentence which I say, you need to understand what the sentence means in Arabic. And I said to Al-Ashri that I'm not going to make any translations or wazaha, making things clear, because if I start doing that, then I'll spend time going over things which perhaps may not be of interest to you anyway. Clearing up some points from last time, I think there's a problem in what I'm trying to do and what other people expect me to do. I think there's a problem. The problem is I'm not trying to prove the wujub of ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah in Azaan. I'll make that clear. I'm not trying to prove it from wajib, from the Shari perspective. It might be wajib from another perspective that we'll look at later on, but I'm not trying to prove. People are asking this question, show us that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam read this in Azaan. If I could show that, then I would be proving the wujub, the wajib of this in Azaan. That is not my intention. The discussion is whether in fiqh, this is the question, whether in fiqh, in jurisprudence, Islamic jurisprudence, saying ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah is permissible. Do the faqihs, mujtahideens, mutaqaddimeen, our senior scholars who passed, did they allow this? This is the question. And if they've allowed it, on what grounds did they allow this? This is the discussion. It is not to say, right, I want you to show that Rasulullah read this. No. And the other aspect of this is to show that in fiqh there is some flexibility on this issue. And we'll show this in the presentation. Another unfortunate, I say this unfortunate because I actually witnessed this myself. People who do not recite this, people who do not recite ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah, for the things that they say, I was actually shocked. I was shocked. They say that the people who recite this, when the 12th Imam appears, because we, meaning the majority of the Shias, right across from India, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, all the way across to North Africa, everybody who is a Shia is reciting ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah in Azaan and Iqamah, bar a few. And if I mention those names that I know off the top of my head, Muhammad Khalasi, he was the first one that I know in the past century who actually said it shouldn't be recited. And secondly, Muhammad Hussein Fazlullah of Lebanon, who said it shouldn't be recited. And also of Pakistan, Allama Muhammad Hussein Najfi, again, who is of the opinion that it should not be recited. If it stood there that you should not recite it, end of story. I would not be here today giving this presentation. But it goes one step further. That step is that they say that reciting ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah is actually biddat and haram. Is biddat and haram. And those who recite ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah, when the Imam comes, because we are doing this biddat, the Imam will then kill us. The Imam will then kill us. Because why? He is going to implement the Azaan of his grandfather. Do they have any sources to say this? I spoke to the person who said this, and I asked him this question a couple of days back. I said, I asked you last time, I want to know where this source is, where you say that the Imam is going to kill those people who recite ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah. And he said that in the last presentation that I heard this from Alim. And I asked him a couple of days back, who was this Alim and where is this source? He said, well, I'll try to get that source for you. So that was the second point. The other point was another brother, I will not mention the name because you know, said that in Ayatollah Khomeini's book, Adab and Namaz, that Imam Khomeini, alayhi rahmah, he says this narration is weak. Which narration? Which Sheikh Saduq mentions that the Shias or the Mufawwaza were reciting this. I just want you to look at what Ayatollah Khomeini says. This is the book, Adab and Namaz. This Adab and Namaz, when quoting this, all was said, and the impression that was given was that Imam Khomeini alayhi rahmah was of the opinion that this should not be said. That is the impression that I got. And I asked this question to other brothers, and they said we have the same impression. That this is the impression that we got, that Imam Khomeini alayhi rahmah is of the opinion that this ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah should not be said in Azaan. But in this very same book, which he quoted, it actually proves our own point. And I'll read the whole ibarat in front of you so that you can make a judgment for yourself what Imam Khomeini alayhi rahmah is actually saying. It says, बाज़ गैर मोतबर रवायात में वारद हुआ है कि रसालत की शहादत के बाद अज़ान में अशहदुअन्ना अलियन वलीयुल्लाह मर्रतैन 2 मरतबा कहें, और बाज़ रवायात में है कि अशहदुअन्ना अमीरुल मोमिनीन हक़्क़न मर्रतैन, यानी 2 दफ़ा कहें. Before I carry on, there's another point which I wanted to make. The brother also said that Manzoor is going to use a tradition from Imam Jafar Sadiq. I don't know whether you remember this. Yes. He said that Manzoor is going to use a tradition from Imam Jafar Sadiq. Now, he'll be surprised that Imam Khomeini alayhi rahmah is going to use the same as what I was going to use. But it just proves the point that obviously maybe he did not read the whole ibarat. और बाज़ दूसरी रवायत में है कि मोहम्मद व आल मोहम्मद खैरुल बरिया. कहीं शेख सदूक ने कहा कि ये रवायत को मुफव्वज़ा के इजादात और मौज़ूआत में शुमार किया है. Again, the word mufawwaza, I'm not going to translate what mufawwaza is. It's just a category of Shias who exaggerate the status of the Ahlul Bayt. मौज़ूआत में शुमार किया है और उनकी तकज़ीब की है. किसने? शेख सदूक ने. और उलमा के दरमियान मशहूर यही है कि ये रवायत काबिल इत्माद नहीं है. और बाज़ मुहद्दिसीन ने इससे अल्फाज, this is not Arabic, तसामु फ़ी अदिल्लतिस सनन, तसामु फ़ी अदिल्लतिस sunan. That is Arabic. Now, the translator has not given the meaning of this word. Tasamu fi adillatis sunan. There's no translation in the book of what this means. It's Arabic, but nobody knows what this meaning is. And inshallah, I will come to the meaning of this as well. So, Imam Khomeini is now saying, he's now giving his own, he's mentioned the hadith of Sheikh Saduq, and now he's now giving his own opinion. Let's carry on. Ki bunyad par. So on the basis of this principle, tasamu fi adillatis sunan, on this principle, ki bunyad par azan ki ek mustahab juz qarar diya hai. Do you understand? Mustahab जुज करार दिया है और ये कौल बाईद अस्वाब नहीं है. Even this word is quite difficult to understand. बाईद अस्वाब नहीं है. What this means, that this is actually what the reality is. The proof he is giving is of fiqh. Tasamu fi adillatis sunan. This is a principle in fiqh which is used in order to prove something. And he said, forget what Sheikh Saduq is saying. Forget for one moment what Sheikh Saduq is saying. My proof is, Imam Khomeini alayhi rahmah is saying, my proof is this principle. Is bunyad par. On this basis, I am saying that it is juz mustahab. It is juz mustahab. Let's carry on. का एक जुज मुस्तहब करार दिया है और ये कौल बईद अस्वाब नहीं है। अगर ये कुर्बत मुतला की नीयत से कहना औला और अहवत है, क्योंकि रसालत की शहादत के बाद वलायत व अमारत मोमिनीन की शहादत मुस्तहब है। चुनाचे एहतिजाज, I have the 2 volumes here. If anyone wants to check the references, these are 2 Arabic volumes. एहतिजाज तबरसी में है कि कासिम इब्न मुआविया ने बयान किया कि मैंने हजरत इमाम जाफर सादिक अलैहिस्सलाम से अर्ज किया कि अहलुल सुन्नत मिराज के बारे में एक हदीस नकल करते हैं कि जब आप यानी रसूल अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम मिराज के लिए तशरीफ ले गए तो अर्श पर लिखा देखा। ये आयतुल्लाह ख़ुमैनी अपनी किताब में लिख रहे हैं, you can check it afterwards. I have the English, the Arabic, I have all 4 versions and the Farsi as well. I have 3 at home, Farsi, Arabic and English, and we have Farsi on the internet as well. So what was written on the arsh? Let's have a look. Imam Jafar Sadiq फरमा रहे हैं तो अर्श पर लिखा देखा, you know, I seen this written. रसूल अकरम फरमा रहे हैं La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Now this is what the Sunnis are saying. Abu Bakr Siddiq. A companion, let me just give you a background on this. A companion is telling Imam Jafar Sadiq that the Sunnis are saying this. अच्छा, Imam Jafar Sadiq फरमाते हैं, इमाम ने फरमाया Subhanallah, सब कुछ तो बदल ही दिया था. They changed everything. ये भी बदल दिया, यानी मिराज भी बदल दिया. तो कहा जी हाँ. इमाम ने फरमाया खुदाए अज़्ज़ा व जल ने जब अर्श को खल्क फरमाया तो उस पर लिखा ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह अलीयुन अमीरुल मोमिनीन. उसके बाद यही निविश्ता पानी, कुर्सी, लौ, इसराफील की पेशानी, जिब्राइल के दोनों बाजू, आसमानों को शानों, जमीनों पहाड़ों की चोटियों और आफ्ताब व महताब पर नकल किया. कौन सा? अशहदुअन्ना ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह व अशहदुअन्ना मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह व अशहदुअन्ना aliyan waliyullah. यानी aliyan amirul mu'minin. This was written on everything. Imam Khomeini is giving dalil. What for? Ashhaduanna aliyullah in Azaan. Imam Khomeini की ये दलील है. फिर इमाम ने फरमाया तुम में कोई ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह कहे तो अलीयुन अमीरुल मोमिनीन भी कहे. Imam Khomeini is using this principle of tasamu fi adillatus sunan and also this hadith of Imam Jafar Sadiq to prove what? That ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah juz mustahab. I think that's enough from Adab in Namaz. But I think you'll get the point that just to read the first 2 lines was a bit unfair, to say the least. I mean, if you had read the whole of this ibarat, then it's actually proving that this is juz mustahab. Also, I want to talk about ijma. This book is Principles of Jurisprudence, is Shia. Dr. Muhammad Ali Shamali is Iranian scholar in London, and it's got an introduction to methodology of fiqh. On the subject of consensus, ijma, Shia scholars define consensus al-ijma as an agreement amongst a group of scholars. You understand? An agreement amongst a group of scholars, one of them being infallible, like the Prophet or Imams. This is because there's always a possibility that a normal scholar will make an error. Therefore, according to Shia Islam, ijma, consensus, is reduced to the sunnah. Also, as a supplementary evidence, some Shia scholars have argued that whenever there is consensus among the Shia scholars in the time of the occultation, this is quite important to understand what I'm saying here. Also, as a supplementary evidence, some Shia scholars have argued whenever there's a consensus among the Shia scholars in the time of the Ghaibat Kubra, if there's a consensus after the occultation, it might be minor and it could be major, Ghaibat Surah or Ghaibat Kubra. We can conclude, this is very important, we can conclude that Imam Mahdi Ajalla Ta'ala Farjahu Sharif must have endorsed their view. Do you understand that? If we are reciting ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah, and all the ulama, majority, okay, you might have 2 or 3 who don't agree, but the majority of the ulama agree that ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah in Azaan is actually something which the Imam himself is endorsing. This is the concept of ijma in Shia fiqh. So that was another point which I wanted to clear. Also, there was a question of what is mustahab? What is qurba? This again, I have shown that even in Ayatollah Khomeini's Adab al-Namaz, he says juz mustahab. Mustahab juz. What do we understand by this? When we talk about juz mustahab, there are things in namaz itself which are juz mustahab. Like qunut. Qunut is not wajib. I will discuss this later on as well. What is qunut? Qunut is not wajib. But it is a juz mustahab. It is very, very important to recite qunut. So when you recite, or when you understand mustahab, mustahab is something that if you perform, you will have reward. If you don't perform, there will be no sin upon you. So if we can understand what mustahab is, and also mustahab has some sort of shari dalil. Do you understand? It has some thick jurisprudential dalil, proof that this mustahab, for example, in our culture, in Pakistani culture, we tend not to wear black shoes. We say black shoes, it's not good. This hadith does exist. Wearing black shoes is not, it is makruh or on those lines. Ulama say that this hadith is weak. But if you practice not wearing black shoes, you might get swab because you're practicing something you hear which come from a source. So the source exists on black shoes. And I think it's in Tahzib al-Islam of Allama Majlisi's book, Kulliyatul Muttaqeen. That wearing black shoes is not good. But if you don't wear them because of this, you will have reward because you are implementing a sunnah that you think it's a sunnah. Because you shouldn't. So this is what is meant when we talk about there is a shari dalil. Same with other things in mustahab, there's a shari dalil. When we say qurba, qurbatan. Qurbatan is basically something which encapsulates lots of things. I'll give you an example. If I was going to read my Zuhr at 12 o'clock, but at 11 o'clock I decided to open the Quran and read the Quran, I went to do wuzu. I do my wuzu in order to read the Quran. That was my intention. Now, can I do my namaz in that same wuzu? Ulama say you can't. Because the time of namaz had not arrived, and also your intention was to read the Quran. However, if I just said that I do wuzu, qurbatan, that covers me everything. So when ulama say that recite ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah, qurba, it covers everything. Mustahab, everything. So this is what, when ulama say qurba, Ya qurbatan, this covers everything. That was basically the few things I wanted to say regarding some of the issues of last time. Now, let us start on the presentation. Now, I have covered some of these pages already, and I will not go through them. But I want you to remember one point. Shia ulama and their role in fiqh. And I said this last week, the most important of these personalities, the early personalities of the 4th century and the 5th century, what we consider is Sayyid Murtaza Alamul Huda, also Sheikh Mufid alayhi rahmah, Sheikh Tusi, and these 3 personalities are basically the one who crystallized Shia thought into its current form. I will not go into the definition of bid'ah, but just one quick point. That it's so easy to say everything is bid'ah. Everything is bid'ah. And everybody who does something which has not been done by the Prophet is bid'ah. This is a very shallow understanding of bid'ah. This is not how ulama understand bid'ah. You have to prove that this is bid'ah. It's a no good thing, right? Rasulullah did not do this, so it's bid'ah. Then we as Shias become full of bid'ah. I mean, can anybody show me that after every namaz, we recite ziyarat? Does anybody have any source to say that reciting ziyarat after every namaz that we do, the Iranians don't do it, the Iraqis don't do it, why is it the Pakistanis are doing it? Has any alim-e-deen has said that reciting the 4 ziyarats, we say, anyway, we don't have to go there, you know what I mean. We are reciting this after every prayer, after every majlis. Has anybody said this is bid'ah? No. Why? Because there is a general hadith to recite ziyarat, to recite dua. Why are we here today? Dua Kumail. Can anybody show me that what we do today is sunnah? On Thursdays, coming every Thursday to recite Dua Kumail, only one narration of Dua Kumail, and that is for Nima Shaban. Once a year it has been recommended that you recite Dua Kumail, and that on the 15th of Sha'ban. Only once in Mafati. But we are doing it every Jumu'ah, every Thursday. Is this bid'ah? No. Nobody will say it's bid'ah. Why? Because doing dua is a good act. Reciting a dua is a good act. The same way, Imam Bargas. Were there Imam Bargas in the time of the Prophet? No. So is this section, okay, the masjid is over there, is this section bid'ah? No. Creating a place of worship is recommended. So we have general principles we apply to particular. This is what fiqh teaches us. Go on to the next one. Again, it's basically on the same lines that because ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah was not recited by the Prophet, then it becomes automatically bid'ah. That is not the case. We are looking at other principles and applying them to ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah and seeing if they fit into the principles of fiqh in order for us to read ashuhaduanna aliyan waliyullah in Azaan and Iqamah. And also, we talk about the 18 segments, the 18 fasla. I was reading today from Bihar that there are many other fasla as well. Many other fasla. Other segments that you've never heard of. We talk about the 18, but there are others as well. Also, Sheikh Saduq curses those who recite this phrase. Ashhadu anna aliyan wallah, Muhammad wa ali Muhammad khairul bariyah, all these. And we'll look at what Sheikh Saduq is actually saying as well. It's no good just quoting Sheikh Saduq and saying, look, Sheikh Saduq has said this and that is sufficient. We have to look. Sheikh Saduq, I have to remind you again, Sheikh Saduq is one of the most important Shia alims. And let me tell you, he was born through the dua of Imam Zaman. Sheikh Saduq is a great personality. But again, people have criticized him because he did make mistakes. Ulama will show this. Next slide. So we are proving from books. Those who recite the Shahadat al-Thalatha, they are not biddati. They are not biddati. The people who recite ashuhaduanna, aliyan, waliyullah in Azaan, they are not biddati. This is our position, and that is what we are sat here to prove. One thing which I want you to bear in mind, don't forget the concept of ijma, consensus. When ashuhaduanna, aliyan, waliyullah became popular, in the sense, when I say popular, every Shia was reciting it. In the villages, in the towns, in cities, in little villages, everywhere. Right across from Iran, across to Syria, across to North Africa, all at the very same time. Only difference was a few years. And this all happened, apparently, when everybody recited this, was in the 4th century. And I want you to know, the 4th century of Islam is an important century for Shiism. And I'll show you from some of the books what scholars have said about the 4th century. The 4th century is also the 10th century Isami. The Christian era is the 10th century. And when we go further, I will show you what the 4th century gave us. So we're not trying to prove that it is wajib. We're trying to prove that it is permissible, juz' mustahab, to recite this. And we are confining ourselves to fiqh. And this is important. We are confining ourselves to fiqh, but I will cover history as well. If you go on to the next slide. I want you to, I started this last week and last session, and I need to go over this again because there were some points which I made from this which I want you to understand. Okay, some people might object. They might say, right, if you're going to talk about fiqh issues, why are you using somebody else's book or Allama Muhammad Najfi's book? He defined